Hello, Modern Jeepers. Matson from MetalCloak here, and welcome to episode number 171 of the ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers. So Corey and Jessy have been stranded at the ModernJeeper Compound with no water for almost a week. And despite the smell, the unflushed toilets, and the dirty dishes, they still managed to step up and do another awesome show. We talk four-wheel parts, wheel pros, and what $400 million really gets you. The future of the V8, stock 37s on a jail, Overland Expo Pacific Northwest, Tillamook Adventures, Topless for Tatas, the return of Cantina for the Con, and our new friends at CB Overland. Now, could you drop everything and live out of a TJ? They did. And remember, if you wonder what the F are these yahoos doing, you can catch our video at youtube.com/ModernJeeper. By the way, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends and give us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and so click that subscribe button. As always, we're extremely grateful to our supporters and friends, including Warn Winches, Raceline Wheels, Bestop, Milestar Tires, Rugged Radios, Adventure Rack Systems, and of course, MetalCloak. So sit back, relax with the cold one, and enjoy episode number 171 of the ModernJeeper Show.
The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, this is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from MetalCloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper, Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Rockstar Jeep Girl, Jessy.
Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
Tired.
Yeah, it's been
for what? You haven't been doing anything.
I
had
know,
no water,
right?
You had no water
Yeah,
for 4
yeah.
days. So what were you actually doing? I mean,
It's
Everything else.
it's amazing at how much we take advantage. Something as simple as water until you don't have any.
yeah, which it's water. It's not like you have to
Right.
drink it or bathe in it or wash with it or cook with it or soak your toes in it. I mean, it's just water.
Just water. So we got home beginning of last week, and we were home 3 days, and literally we're kind of getting caught up on a lot of stuff. And one morning went out to the driveway, and there's this giant wet spot in the driveway with kind of water gurgling out of it. And
no.
yeah, it just seems kind of wrong.
Was that your reaction? Like, yeah, it just
Kind
seems
of
kinda
like
wrong.
that's weird.
Well,
Look at that.
Well, that's weird.
that can't be good.
Well, and this house is odd. I mean, there was a cistern here back in the day, and there was pressure tanks underneath the house.
Okay. What's a cistern?
So a cistern is basically a large tank that you can go down into the little town of Kelowna down here, and a lot of people still do this in this area with a pickup truck, and they have a big 200-gallon water tank on the back of their pickup truck. Well, for 25 cents, well, that's what it used to cost. It might be 50 cents now. You go down there and you pull a lever, and it fills up this 200-gallon tank in the back of your truck. You come up to your house, you dump that tank into your tank at your house, your cistern system.
Okay.
And then basically you have a pump that lives in the house, and it draws the water out of that cistern. And then you have pressure tanks underneath the house that maintain pressure so that you have like real, running water and things like that.
So it's almost like an artificial well.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Cool. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and there's just in fact, one of my friends, Reed Rutherford, who has a plumbing and heating business out of Telluride, and he lives up the road from me, and he's also a racer. First time I ever went to Baja was chasing for Reed Rutherford's team, but
Oh wow.
he lives up the road, and so he kind of said, yeah, there's actually still a lot of people using that cistern type system because there's not a lot of water up on this mesa, and people have drilled wells and they just haven't lasted. But we're very fortunate. I'm still very close to the road. So even before we bought this house, Tri-County Water, which is our water utility in this area, they bypassed this cistern stem, if you will, and just intersect a T right into the cistern line and put 2 valves on either side of it, turn the one valve off to the cistern, turn the one onto the house. And so I have regular domestic, water supply.
Oh, wow.
Which is great, but I've always had this. So I turn the water off down at the road, but we have this metal
Tin horn.
a tin horn and a cover, a
Manhole
regular
cover.
manhole cover in the middle of the driveway that it's been covered with about 2 inches of dirt since we've lived here. And I mean that, I've been here about 25 years and I've never even looked in the hole. Never had any reason to know what was down there. Didn't care.
There's a hole in your house and you didn't want to investigate it.
Right.
You didn't want to dive in there just with a flashlight and
know.
see what could I find out? What's under my house?
Well, when it turns out when there's a water leak, you can lift the lid off, and then all you see is a big, about a 14-inch round tube of water. You can't really see what's in the bottom of it. It's just full of water. So I go down to the road and turn it off, and eventually the water receded in the hole, which the valves were about 6.5 feet, almost 7 feet deep in the ground in this metal chute. Yeah, one of those pipes had cracked. The T actually had split. So again, we have such amazing family and friends, and it's a lot of the Jeep. It's all of our Jeep family as well. I mean, Mike Boyle, who he's an outstanding photographer, shoots a lot of images that you see from a lot of the We Rock events and even KOH stuff. Well, Mike happens to live a couple of miles up the road, and he drove down his family's backhoe and big tractor. And because I could, of course, this was last Thursday. Here comes Father's Day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend, as many took advantage of. I couldn't get a hold of anybody, and I don't really know anybody with a backhoe until now. It's amazing when you start asking around and you find out what your friends have for toys. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So wait, is it working now? Yeah, water now? Are you still?
It is.
Okay. So you're good. Good. You're not stinky, smelly. You still.
No. She put up with me for 4 days without a shower. So
I'm sitting next to him, so
there are man wipes. You could always.
Some dude wipe.
Come on, we're all used to the bachelor shower, right? Oh gosh, get a date real quick. Yeah.
Right.
It's like a cat.
Yeah, it was an interesting. It's just so funny. You just don't realize, like, you go to rinse off a dish, or, you can flush the toilet a few times before there's no more water.
Yeah.
You just start to realize how much stuff you use water for.
And how much water we use. I mean, just think about like I get on the kids for washing their hands for 10 minutes, right? Then it's like, yeah, let's just add up normal usage. Normal usage goes away quick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was really scary where our water main turns off at the road, the meter is right there. So there's just a little valve down there I can turn on and turn off. And we're not using any water here in the house. Everything was off. But when I turned that dial on to watch that meter spin because of that leak is a really unsettling feeling. It's like that thing is just spinning as fast as it can, and that hole is filling up water and nothing's on in the house. That's a bad sign.
Wow. No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got my frozen Powerade because we have a freezer here at the shop, and we have these for the guys when it's hot, like 105 degrees and stuff out there, right? And I was going to be kind of clever about it and like try the whole TikTok thing, like break it in half.
Yep.
But just in the few minutes been sitting here, it's now melty enough that probably wouldn't work and be very messy. No. So now I'm just thinking I'm going to let it sit, and instead I'm
scissors. Just scissors. Just cut it.
No, you just got to rip it here. And I got
That was the whole reason.
and then I suck it.
Yeah.
But that scissors, that's like amateur hour, man. Gotta use your teeth. See, Corey's always the pro with the tool. I'm the guy like, I'm going to work on this thing. All right, what thing can I make it work with? Hey, those look like cool. I'll use a vice grip on a nail on a screw head. Okay, that'll work. Whatever it takes.
Corey's like, no, use a screwdriver on a screwdriver, right?
I have
Yeah.
a butter knife.
Well,
Works great.
I will
Right.
bring up a special tool that I actually don't have, and now I got to go buy a set. When we were working on the Gladiator, the rear seat bolts are external Torx.
Really?
They have a Torx end inverted, so instead of a hole to put the tool down in, it's actually a Torx bolt.
That's
got
the rear
some-
seat bolts
That's the rear seat bolts.
that hold them in.
Yep. There's I think 8 of them.
Does
Yeah.
that tool come? Doesn't that tool come with?
We checked.
Nope. Looked in the
So-
little toolkit.
That's weird because Mike pulled mine out the last time when he did his Death Valley trip. He pulled out my back seats when he took it out, and he didn't ever mention anything about
Well, now some guys will use a 12-point regular socket, but that's not the correct tool. The 12-point will grab the edges a little bit, but if they're very tightened bolts or older bolts, you will just round the head of it off. So, yeah.
So I'm curious if you're taking out your seats, do you have the gun case or not?
Yes. Well, it's 2 separate boxes. It's not one long box.
It looks like
Right.
a gun, but
Because I have a case, but it's just a storage bin. It's not really it's not the case. It's not the gun case.
Huh.
But so whereas Aaron has or Justin now has the full gun case, it doesn't look like a gun case. I mean, it's shaped like a gun case, and there's other compartments in it. But if you pull those compartments out, all of a sudden you have a gun case. But it wasn't supposed to be a gun case, but it is a gun case. But it's not supposed to be, but it is.
oh,
Interesting.
huh.
So, but I don't, right? That's one of the features mine didn't come with. So
I guess those 2 compartments is a pass-through though, so you could put because
You could pull.
they're not separate.
I put all
They're
my
separate
ARs in there.
lids,
yeah.
but yeah.
It's it kind of has this look, but basically they didn't want to sell it as a gun case, but those who know. If you
Right,
know,
right.
you know.
Now
'Cause
I
if you
know.
know-
I can put my pistols
Now
in
you
there.
know. The more you know. Listen to Modern Jeeper and you too will know things. Trivia.
Yeah.
So thinking about Modern Jeeper, one of the things that we talked about last week, which was kind of big news and is still big news, and I've been talking about it like the list this week, Monday and Tuesday, I tried like a whole morning Matsonian live just on my way into work. Thought I'd drop off the kiddos, go on there, hop on live, and just do. I did yesterday on Instagram, today on Facebook, and part of it was talking about the news. And so far, the feedback's been pretty good. I was testing Facebook and Instagram to see which would be better to do a live stream on, and it's just me talking, right? I'm driving the Gladiator, I'm talking about various stuff. In there, I did talk about how we would dive this week more into the 4 parts acquisition, which is an ongoing drama, ladies and gentlemen. There's lots of stuff happening. I did talk about this morning the purchase price, because the latest rumors were that they paid half of what Polaris did. So the rumor was Polaris paid about $800 million. The rumor is now that that Wheel Pros paid about $400 million. Now, initially you go, wow, that's a huge difference. But the revenue generation that I've seen of Transamerica Auto, the entire group, everybody, all the products, all the brands, everything together was about $760 million. Now, at $760 million, I'll pull out my handy calculator here. $760 million, 10% of which I don't need to use a calculator for 10%. Thank you very much. But $760 million says that is 76 million, right? Say they have a 10% profit, that'd be pretty good. It might be less. I mean, there's got to be a lot of debt. They did a lot of infrastructure building. They've got that big giant WDs. Maybe there's a lot of debt associated with it. But even to say they were a good company at 10% profit. So that's 76 million. 76 million times an EBITDA of say 7. 6 or 7 is probably good for a company like that, right? So if we did times 7, if we were generous, that's 532 million. So you back that up a little bit, somewhere between 450 million may have been a fair price for it. So it may have been the Wheel Pros actually paid a fair price based on what's currently on the books and their current actual revenue, and who knows what their actual profit level was.
Right.
But because you're not going to get more than 5, 6, or 7 for a company like that on EBITDA unless you had something pretty spectacular. And their and I mean, it was a good company, but so it's going to be a fair price, $400 million, all said and done, for which is a massive distribution network, 100 stores, the Transamerica support. I mean, the whole Transamerica distribution network just for job shops and everything else going to 22 different websites on top of 4WD.com. The 4-wheel parts stores, the brands, not only if you remember, they started their 4-wheel parts in-house brand too. Right. So they've got that 4-wheel parts in-house brand on top, which is kind of crazy. I mean, think about this. They already had ProComp. They bought Rubicon Express, competes directly with ProComp. They had bought the other, the reason why I couldn't even remember what the other suspension company was is because they killed it off. It's dead. It's gone. But it wasn't Tough Country. Tough Country is owned by our friends over at Dynatrack, I believe. Not Dynatrack, Daystar.
Daystar, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they, but they have all those different brands, G2, Poison Spider, all of that. But to think about your own house brand, another brand, like another suspension brand, you're building your in-house brand to compete with the other 2 suspension brands that you happen to have as well. Like, it's just kind of insane. But now all of that's coming together under Wheel Pros, which I discovered yesterday. That same company, Clear Lake Capital, actually owns Linux too.
Yeah, that was part of their on Clear Lake's page. It's just kind of crazy at how big and how much funding is really behind Clear Lake Capital. Like, it's nuts.
Well, and that's the thing about this whole world right now. There's a lot of money available. And what people are kind of freaking out about is, wow, I got a lot of money to invest. I still have a lot of money to invest. The world there's a lot of stuff going on, but I still have money to invest. I need to put my money someplace. So where am I going to put it?
Right.
So these companies like Clear Lake Capital take all that capital in. They do investment off of it. They've got to buy something. Yep. Warren Buffett used to always say his hardest job was finding the next thing to buy because he had so much money and it just became harder and harder. And every deal had to be bigger and bigger, right? He couldn't just buy another small little company down the street. He had to buy something big to make a significant impact.
And when you have a really strong backbone and a strong business mind and a lot of really good people, I think there's some excitement there. And Clear Lake is going, hey, we do a really good job of managing these businesses and these companies and putting money back in the investor's pocket, which is their goal, right, at the end of the day. So, I think that, I don't know, I think there's a lot of changes coming about. I think that we're still in such an early evolution into Jeep technologies and what's changing and what's coming. I was just reading an article. Jim Morrison was out at Camp Jeep up in New York, and there's a lot of talk about, of course, electrification and what they're going to put V8s in next. And Jim Morrison came out real forward and just said the V8 isn't coming back to the performance Grand Cherokees, so the Trackhawk nameplate's probably going to go away, and the Gladiator's probably not going to get a 392. I think that people are going, oh, well, that's okay because there's going to be this turbocharged inline 6, but he kind of said, yeah, that's great, but why do that when I have the same torque out of a 4xe? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be very interesting.
But there's 2 different purchasers there. There's 2 different mindsets, right? Those who like rock crawling understand it's all about the torque and about that, that slow move. There's a certain point you're looking for. Those that want the 392 are not thinking about that. I'm sorry, if you're throwing a 392 or a Hemi or whatever in, sure, it's big and bad, but you're thinking about the go fast. Kevin and Brittany at Light Bright, when they started putting the bigger engine in, and I guess they just put a 4.6 600 horsepower or something in from America's Most Wanted. Just a big install for them. Yeah. So something like that. It's all about it's not about rock crawling anymore. It's just about go fast.
Right.
And so, but to Jim's point, yeah, absolutely. If you're a rock crawler, that's all you want. But if you're like, hey, I want to be able to go down the street fast, and I want to be able to fly through the freeway, and I want to be able to go fast out in the middle of the desert and run the washboards, you're going to want a bigger engine.
Now you have the Bronco Raptor. So.
Right.
Well, and
so are they going to have a Jeep TRX?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Jim Morrison also said was that his favorite combination at Easter Jeep Safari during the Moab release of their concept vehicles this year, that his favorite was the 4xe on 37s. And so the guy who was talking to him said, "So we might see a factory 37?" And Jim just kind of went, "Maybe."
Wow. Well, that is again competition, right? They had to come out with
Right.
the factory 35s, try to compete against the Bronco, and then next level, the next level, the next level. But to have a factory 37 come out, now would it be a BFG 37 or would it be a real 37?
Ooh, wow. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, so the 2022 Bronco Raptor is stock 37s.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
well, you
I
got to
don't know.
compete. You got to compete, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even though like we're still building stuff for our Bronco, we just looked at a prototype of a rear bumper yesterday. So front mirror bumpers coming in, rockers are completed, and those should be going off to production soon. So it's a nice rocker rail style, not the overland style, but the rocker rail style, nice and beefy and set off away from the body. So it provides a little bit of a step as well. So that should be coming out. We got front and rears, all kinds of little things, fun stuff.
Well, our listenership, our followers, bless their hearts. We talked a little bit about it last week. They've been sending us comments about what they like on the website, what they don't like on the website, things like that. And when we got home, I knew I had a lot of changes to make to the Gladiator, and I think people don't understand the evolution, I don't think, of a MetalCloak product, and they think that when you guys out in Sacramento, you release something and then that's it, and it's never going to evolve. It's the best that there is, and that's really just it's a sign of how nice it is to be a company that is in control of their production. And a lot of these companies, that is what they do, right? They produce, hey, here's our shock, and then it goes out. It's never changed. If anything, they'll redesign something and come out with a new shock, but they'll never evolve those existing components, if you will. Whereas
Right.
MetalCloak, you guys have been involving the same product for years, because while you can come out with the absolute best you can at the time through testing, through changes that the market makes. I mean, like the Gladiator especially. Who would have thought people were going to overload these things with 4,000 pounds of weight and go, hey, my rear end sags.
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Right. Yeah. I have a saggy ass. I need help.
Yeah.
But your point is very true in that we're still making rev changes to our very first fender products, or stuff that came out 13 years ago. We still make evolutionary changes to. It's like, hey, we could do this little change too. We make this little rev change. We make rev changes all the time. In some cases, they're big and they're evolutionary, and in which case we'll promote those rev changes. In most cases, you guys never see them or know about them. It just happens to be the next guy who buys that product has a little different product than his buddy did who bought it last year. It's just an evolutionary change.
Well,
and
case in point on my Gladiator, it was one of the very, very first lifts. When Jeremy Rowan bought that Gladiator, he kind of pieced together some parts because we didn't really have a lift ready yet.
We had nothing. We had nothing.
Yeah, right.
He said, send me this and send me this and send me this. I'm going to then use this and this. Then I'm going to put them all together. And voila, I'll have a lifted Gladiator. I'm like, okay, dude, it's on you. That's on. It's go for it. Let's just see what it looks like. I mean, we literally did not have anything when he put that together.
Yeah. So for the folks who are following us on social media and they saw pictures of Jessy and I swapping the springs, we were taking out MetalCloak springs and we were putting back in MetalCloak springs. These just happen to be production now. We finally got to a revision that we liked in these springs, and everybody says, "Oh, you're going higher." Well, at the end of the day, that lift that was on there, when it settled, it was only about a 2-inch lift height, really. So for those that have that were either followed us through Death Valley and this last time in February, they know that Matson's Gladiator backed up to mine, and we started. Mike and I were looking at it, and Aaron came over, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? How come Matson's rig is so much taller? And well, because those were springs that were being tested to evolve what we're actually selling in the kit now. So the springs that are on my Gladiator now will be what you would get, and they are a true 3.5-inch spring. The Gladiator sits about an inch and 3/4 higher than it did before, and you know what? I love it. It's a little taller, but I've got my tent. I've got our ARS rack in the back. I have a 50-pound fridge slide and a ginormous fridge, fuel, all of our stuff.
Ginormous.
That sits, and the Gladiator sits level. We've probably got another couple 100 pounds to throw in there by the time where it's all said and done. I'm thrilled, and it's a good height, and the ride is second to none.
Nice. Well, that's the thing. Evolutionary changes. You cannot be afraid of change either, right? Like
that's right.
I was a little afraid of change in the early days. Like, well, wait a second. People like it this way. Well, we're going to make this change. Just get on with it. Like, okay. It took me a little while to get to the idea that sometimes major changes are necessary. You might discontinue a product, add a new product, completely convert a product, change a product, but it's good. It's fine. It's all part of us growing up as a company too. Speaking of growing up, my kids haven't done that really much lately.
Yeah.
Hey, my brother, shout out to my brother, Greg, and his wife, Stevie. They had a baby 2 days ago on Father's Day. Yes.
Congratulations, Uncle Corey. Yeah, now you're a real uncle, and this is not a fake uncle.
They had a baby boy, and they went home today. So my dad, and they've been sending us pictures. We haven't been up there to see him yet, but we'll get up there, I'm sure, this rest of this week sometime.
That's awesome. A little child for Corey to corrupt. It's perfect.
That's right. Yes.
He already has one.
Well, I've got her grandbaby that I can mess around with too.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you're a pop-up. Little pop-up and uncle are two different roles, though.
Yes.
Like uncle's a little bit closer. Uncle's a little bit like, you're going to be the eccentric uncle, go out. We're sending you off to Corey's house. No,
not that guy.
He makes me work.
Not that
I had to
guy.
clean the shop last time.
That's right. Put him to work for sure.
Then he showed me this hole in the middle of his driveway that was 6-7 feet deep.
Put you in that hole. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, I wish I had one of those. That would solve everything.
Man, it's amazing. I'm already thinking of the stuff I can hide in that hole.
You know what'll happen if I become missing.
Oh.
I think he's threatened me a few times, throwing me down there.
Well, she's actually pretty good at operating a backhoe, so I think I'm gonna have her be the whole filler upper. So,
I was gonna say you were about to say the hoe filler upper. She's good.
Make sure he doesn't stand too close to the hole, because
she's good with the backhoe, huh? Corey, is that what you trying to say?
Backhoe.
Oh dang!
Wow.
Speaking of Jessy, all right, you've had your Jeep for what, a week now? 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's almost got 300 miles on it.
But it came to you like with 6, right?
6 miles, maybe.
You've been driving, so you've been driving into town.
Yeah. Even I let him drive it for a while.
Have you gone on the dirt yet?
I actually did, taking Mike home.
Oh yeah, where the backhoe came from. He lives way up on a dirt road, so.
But you didn't let you go do some mile trail with it?
I will.
Yeah, we've
been worried about water and getting some other things done that need to be off our plate before we go take pictures of it stock.
Yeah, so. We're in full pack mode again, getting ready for our Tillamook adventure.
Right.
And of course, still, at the evolution of the Gladiator. So we're and it's kind of nice to look over at her Jeep and go, okay, that's still together. It's not in a bunch of pieces on the floor somewhere. We can still drive it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about evolution of the Gladiator, so I have the overcab system, and right on my rig right now, which will not be at Tillamook, it will actually be at Overland Expo Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, PNW.
Which side note, we are giving away shirts out there, but apparently we're not allowed to say things like Overland Expo Pacific Northwest, July 2022, Redmond, Oregon on our shirts, right? For some reason, like it's copyright. You're using our copyright. I'm just giving away a shirt, man. Relax. So instead, I think I'm putting OEPNW and then Redmond, Oregon, July 2022. And if they have a problem with me putting the location that I'm giving away a shirt, they can go suck it. Anyway,
you would think it's kind of
advertising.
it's promoting their event.
Yeah.
Not very smart.
Free promotion. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, come on. So we got about 100 shirts we're giving away out there. That being said, the Gladiator will be there. And the Gladiator will be there with its new Rocklander bed rack system.
Oh,
And the Rocklander
cool.
bed rack system is a full-on bolt-on system that integrates with. As I'm sitting here, see, I'm drinking some Coca-Cola, so don't do this in the future because it's causing me to burp, and I don't want to burp into the
Well,
microphone.
you need some Pop Rocks.
Oh, dude, that would be so cool. Little Pop Rocks going right now as I'm trying to talk. That would be so cool. I just throw them into the Coke can. Yeah.
Yes.
that would be
Yes.
No, you put a mouthful and then take a drink of Coke.
Wow.
talk about Coke.
Didn't a kid explode or something when he did that? I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah. It's just because it was all in the stomach, and no.
Yeah.
So children do not take any advice from us, please. But yeah, it's got this is the Rocklander rack system. So, the previous bed rack system is just cut metal with a combination with some cool aluminum extrusions, what you have, right? Mm-hmm. So the Rocklander system is all tube, and it actually integrates with the overcab system. So bolts to and clamps the overcab system back hoop, and then comes down on either side. Plus it has a couple of cross members and then other accessory things that we're all kind of developing on the fly for the purposes of the show. But it's a pretty cool system. I love it. It's strong. And I think it all lends that whole concept of a Rocklander. You have essentially almost an exo cage with your rig because of the strength of the overcab system, the strength of that front hoop on the JL and JT. And then it just lends itself perfectly for this nice system. So that'll be on there. People get a chance to see that out at Overland Expo, Pacific Northwest, OEPNW. OEPNW, since I can't use Overland Expo.
Well,
OEPNW.
You should just do it.
Well, I'm doing OEPNW. Yeah, and it's already like submitted. It's gone to the printer. And Mike's like, well, I think they have something in there.
It's not like you're selling them. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a free shirt. It's a commemorative shirt. I
think, again, as we talk about an evolution of a product, there's so many folks out there that are they've got money that's burning a hole in their pocket. And sometimes it's just funny to me that they would rather spend it and get something inferior or not quite what they wanted, but they had to spend the money because it's available now. And instead of waiting, we as a society and as Jeep owners, we have zero patience anymore. We want it right now. And if you don't have it,
get to the point.
Yeah, come on. Like, what are you trying to say? I was thinking about ordering something from Amazon, and I'm surprised it's not already at my front door.
Well, remember, it was Amazon. They had Amazon. What was it? What was they called for? There's Prime Day, but there's Amazon. Oh, what do they call? Where it's like same day delivery, which is almost normal on every day. Now I was expecting Amazon pre. Like, we're going to ship stuff to you before you even think you need it.
Before you need it, right? We've looked and see what you've bought in the past.
I was just thinking about having an Apple, and it appeared right
and there's
there.
my Apple.
There's like knock on the door, somebody's delivering an Apple to me.
It's just like Facebook ads. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, I was having a conversation about baby clothes, and now I get a Facebook ad for baby clothes.
So start monitoring that these days, because there is a huge change happening in the world of digital ads, and we won't bore listeners with that now, but. Because Apple came out and said, basically, screw all you guys, you don't get access to our data anymore. It has changed. So the return rate on ads, the click-through rate on ads, the quality of clicks on ads, both on Google and Apple and Facebook, have gone down significantly. Like Google is massively revamping their advertising campaign, their strategy, and how they're doing stuff to the point of creating much more intuitive AI-based advertising, because they're having to overcome the free ride they've had on Apple iPhone users. And Facebook's figuring out that as well. Like, they're diving down into it. But the world of saying, oh, I like this pin, and all of a sudden have a bunch of ads for pins pop up to you, is changing. And even though they said, no, we don't listen to you, we have no idea. It's all about relationship, because, well, you might have a friend who bought a pin and he just bought one and you happen to be near him. And then and that's why it was up there. It's like, yeah, bullshit. It was all about what was happening within the phone. Everybody knows you're listening. That world apparently is changing, and partly because Apple wants to do their own advertising now. So they're not going to give away the data for free. They're going to just do it themselves.
Right.
Because there's no Steve Jobs. There's no innovation. Well, let's just tap some other revenue source, call it advertising. We have $300 billion cash, and we can't figure out what else to do. So, because we can't figure out what new hardware product the people want because Steve is dead. So, and we're just a bunch of bean counters over there now. So, oh well, move forward.
Well, it's definitely, I think we've seen it through social media channels that anymore, man, it's all about shock value. If it's just the same old thing, we are all just blowing by stuff. We don't read anything unless it's some bright, crazy. It's got to have a phenomenal title. The clickbait thing is real. Like, it's, other than that, we're just like, there's so much, it doesn't end. I mean, it's stuff like that.
I hate Harry's. You got it. You got yours.
Yep. Got my I hate Harry's my kit, my new razor.
Jeremy's razor.
Yep. Jeremy's razors.
Yeah, I use it very successfully to trim here and to trim there.
Yep, that's right.
No. I haven't tried it up here yet. I'm going to try it up here. But you hit on a couple of things. So have you seen the news about TikTok?
No.
Mm-mm.
So it's been confirmed that there are leaked audio that's come out. And again, I've just been so into TikTok lately, trying to understand and learn it, that this just comes up. And this was something that the previous administration, Trump, had the administration come out and said, listen, we don't really like TikTok because it's owned by the Chinese government and they can access all the data. It's not really owned by the Chinese government, but anything that happens in China is owned by the Chinese government. So let's face it, right?
Right.
Well, it turns out that they have been. Like, there are now documentation and recordings that there has been data looked at, private data of American citizens looked at by employees of the company that owns and has developed TikTok. So it's like, yeah, it's real. Of course it's true. And now this is something people all need to understand. Unless you fall completely off the grid, unless you want to be completely off the grid, which is virtually impossible in today's society,
right?
There is no such thing as privacy. I came to that conclusion in the early 90s. I decided privacy was, even back in the early 90s, I could have researched and found out anything I wanted about you before the internet.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now you've totally exposed yourself to the internet. Just get over it. If you want it, first off, live a virtuous life and don't have anything you're afraid of, or just don't be ashamed of it. If you are what you are and your life is between OnlyFans and whatever you do at work, whatever, then that's your life. But don't be afraid of it. If that's your life, fine. Right. But live a virtuous life, live the life you want to live, and be the life that the person you want to be. But don't think there's privacy, because it doesn't exist.
No, there's still a lot of folks out there that go, every time we'll take a picture of a Jeep, they're like, oh man, you need to blur your license plate out. Well, you know what? I drive it to and from Montrose every day. I drive it around the country all the time. I mean, but I'm going to hide it from a Facebook post because I don't want who to actually, again,
come on! I kind of challenge the person to come up to my front door and try to take my Jeep. I mean, I need some target practice. I'm on a board, but yeah, exactly. It's like, why? It just is. I mean, the reality is that anything can be found about you by anything, and if it isn't in a legitimate means, it is an illegitimate means, because the dark web exists, Tor exists, and there's plenty of websites out there that, as a salesperson, I could go and pay this website to give me a complete dossier on Corey Osborne, just so I can call you up and say, hi, Corey, I bet you need life insurance. According to what I've seen, you only have $20,000 in life insurance, and I'd like to get you $2 million, right? I mean, all that information.
How many folks get a little mailing that comes in an envelope, and they know the amount of your mortgage, they know who it's from, they know that's all public record, guys. Like your address, all it's people that think that they're going to hide. Well, good luck. Yeah,
exactly. The only way, the Unabomber was probably the closest thing to a recent true libertarian, like recluse off. Even then, though, he used the postal service to move his stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to be out there and doing nothing. And that's okay. If you want to live in your Jeep, So I'm going to do a plug right now for a couple who came by MetalCloak last week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so it was kind of funny because I was on YouTube the other day and something got served up to me, and it was just, I saw this little thing pop up, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I clicked this and I went, huh, and it was really cool. It was just a couple they're talking about, and they seemed very genuine, very nice people. Then last week, I think it was on Friday, this couple comes by, and then their little TJ, beat up old TJ, and Mike walks by and goes, hey, are those the guys on YouTube? So he walked over there, and sure enough, on the side of their Jeep, it had CB Overland.
Full-timers in a TJ.
Full-timers in a TJ. They were both bartenders in Vegas. COVID hit, and they figured, we got to change life. So they literally are in this beat-up old TJ, full-timers, traveling and doing everything and putting it on YouTube. And they live out of the TJ. They camp everywhere. They don't stop anywhere. They don't do hotels. Everything's out of the TJ. They got 2 basset hounds in the back of the truck. I mean, not only are they living out of this, but they're taking 2 jogs with them too. Amazingly nice people. And he looks like he lives on the land all the time. She looked amazingly well. Like she, somehow she's doing showers every day. I don't know what, but they did it. There's awesome people. So they've been running their TJ on like a Heim joint kit that he had built. Like there was some basic suspension kit he built. He has a rack going all around it that's on Heims and posts and just everything he had built himself. So we're hooking them up with a suspension to get them onto at least, she'll probably be solely thankful to us in the long run because of, this is a minute, it'll feel better. But totally cool. So guys, check them out. CB Overland on YouTube. Their YouTube channel is light, but they're also on Instagram. And that's where they have a good following on Instagram. Let's see if I can bring them up there. CB Overland. Yeah, Blake and Chelsea. And they have about 28,000 followers on Instagram. And they're out there. They're just living on the wheels, as they say it. Right. And it's pretty cool. So check out their IG, check them out. They're just really, really cool people.
Nice. Well, again, we're still in, we're trying to go through everything as we prepare for Tillamook. And what's our weather going to be like this year?
So actually, John Mock just sent me a message on that. Let's see what he said here. He said, we'll pull up John since he's the one who's reached out about it. And that's in Facebook Messenger because everybody, we have to have 27 different ways of being reached these days.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's the people that reach out through Instagram messaging it blows my mind. Like, how am I going to find that message ever again?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to admit, like it took us, I think we had 2 years of Instagram messages before we realized that you could actually get messages in Instagram. So there were a bunch of people that like messaged us. Like as soon as we set up an account, all of a sudden they're sending us messages. There were customer service issues. Like, guys, if you don't hear from us, maybe there's another way. Okay, so we are looking at the next 10 days. Looks like it's in the Saturday and Sunday. This coming Saturday and Sunday at 86. Then it's 77. Then 69. Then 66. So it starts getting colder. Wednesday looks to be so I don't know what it's going to be that particular weekend, but it looks like it's starting to get cool. But it's been pretty nice lately. Yeah. It has been very rainy out there. One thing I'm dreading is when I get to the house is that there's been a lot of raining, and my neighbors told me that there was some flooding in the garage because the garage is the lowest part of the house.
Is low,
low. So we'll see how that is. Yeah,
it's so funny because last year we had blazing heat. The year before we had 100 degrees in the little grass area where we camp and stuff. And it's just so interesting how every year it seems a little bit different. I did just get in the mail today a selection here of some of the folks that needed permits. So we're getting that taken care of as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did get good news, and that was that everything's set up, so we should be able to do a bonfire this year.
Nice.
Lee talked to the property owner, and he's cleaning that out, and he'll have Forest Service come out and do an inspection and then get a permit. So for the first time in several years, we'll actually be able to do a bonfire. So,
Well, I've got a backhoe here, but it'd be a really long drive.
oh, you're not talking about Jessy. All right. So.
Damn.
So monthly, let's go look at, I don't want to do this. Skip that. Why am I seeing that?
I have a feeling it's going to be a little wet. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a little chilly.
I don't know
Okay.
about
So if
chili.
we look at, we got the weekend of July.
Maybe it'll get better towards July, but
We've always had pretty decent weather out there.
Yeah. Okay, July 3rd to the 14th. The estimations of July 3rd to the 14th are so Wednesday the 6th, the 63, 64, 67, 66. So kind of chilly right now.
Cooler, definitely.
Definitely cooler. Thursday, that cloud cover, mostly sunny on Friday, mostly sunny on Saturday, and partly sunny on Sunday. So Friday and Saturday, the wheeling days seem to be good, but they're in the 60s. So for all of us out there, 25% chance of precipitation, 10%, 20%, 25%. So it has definitely been the year of wet out there.
It's been a crazy. I mean, people are under heat warnings back east, and it's got hot here, but then since we've been home, it's been cool, and I don't know. It's just kind of all over the place.
Well, let's talk about Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah,
dude.
wow. Yeah.
Dude.
So we were there at this exact time last year with Ricky and that group, and we went and we're kind of scoping out some areas that we may be able to have an event in. And oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Even the Morrison Jeep Trail, some of the switchbacks flooded and came down.
They had a slide on the Morrison Jeep Trail. Yeah.
Wow.
And the river that you cross is pretty much looks like Yellowstone now, where it's just cut off and just water.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty messed up out there.
Well, good thing we didn't plan that trip this year.
No.
Yeah, that would have been a bad deal. We would have not been able to have had that trip.
We would have called it the Flood Watch trip. We're just going to go out there and look at the floodwaters.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
they
Hey,
said they
look,
were gonna
there's
go
part
out
of a
in
bridge going
July.
by.
Yeah.
And fix the Morrison Jeep Trail. But now that they had the extra flooding, it may be longer. So
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just insane. And
well, what's funny is that trail is pretty gnarly to begin with. And then when pictures started to surface of the landslide, and everybody's like, oh, that just makes it more fun. I'm like, you guys never been up there, apparently.
Yeah, you don't
You would
understand.
never say that ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Landslides make it more fun.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know, guys with
No,
buggies
you
and
got a
stuff.
broken foot. Well, that just makes it more fun.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just way more fun.
Yeah, it's more
Uh-huh.
fun. Yeah.
Hey, and we will be adding, there's been some new events that we're going to be headed to this year just because the schedule kind of works in our favor. We'll actually be visiting Roush Creek, Topless for Tatas. Chris and
Oh.
Chantel Kern's event
In August.
is in August, which is like a week and a half before Pigeon Forge. So,
Wow. That's
and-
our
and-
first. That's like the first that we've supported it over the years. But that's the first time you've been there, right?
never been
Yeah.
there. Yep,
Yeah,
never
okay.
been there.
This will be cool.
I talked to Chantel and Chris, and they're totally excited to have us up there. So it'll be fun.
And the CTI has been there in the past, but that was all run by Mount Zion. Like you would drop
Right.
it off and leave it and take off and do something else and then come back out there. That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so and the events will be on our Facebook pages as well as the Modern Jeeper event calendar. We've both been trying to update all that and make sure that there's not stuff missing where it's on one site and not the other, trying to make sure they're all the same. So folks can watch out for those events to be coming up. It's
Cool,
interesting
cool.
to me. There's some events still, like we have All for Fun going to be here in Uray County, and they don't ever create a Facebook event page.
It's weird.
It's just some don't, some do. I think
Some
it's a great way.
some are great marketers, some are not. It's okay.
Some are
you
not.
know?
Well,
Like,
there
you know,
could be
it's-
people that don't pay attention that come into town, go on their Facebook app and go, what's events that's local? So they'll have something to do, and those kind of things pop up. I don't see why
Mhm.
anybody wouldn't be doing
Right.
it.
Well, when I did events, I was always like, not only did our due diligence social media marketing and our own marketing, But then you have like local chamber of commerce marketing, every event website.
Absolutely.
I would spend 2 days just going onto event websites around the world and posting my event, posting my event, posting my event, posting. In some cases, it was like long description, 12 different forms to fill out. Other cases, it was just like a little paragraph. But there are thousands of calendars out there, guys. Like, post your event everywhere. It doesn't have to be just your little community. But that's the difference. Do you want to grow your event, or are you just riding the coattails of those before you?
Well, and I mean, we've been to some really large events, and it's always amazing, even pulling into Moab, and you have those people that go, "Hey, what's going on this weekend? There seems to be a bunch of Jeeps in town."
Right? Yeah, as opposed to doing something for the local community that happens to be supporting you, right?
Right. Yeah. Kind of
Yeah,
funny.
Jeep ride-alongs for the local community, right? There's got to be a Boys and Girls Club, right? Take the Boys and Girls Club out there for Jeep ride-alongs and do stuff like that. I mean,
something.
So, and All for Fun again is still the one that we do where the CTIs are. We give a donation, right?
Donations. Yep.
Yeah, donations. That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. I
In
still
fact,
think we
we'll
should need to
even,
figure that out. Do like a donation box for the trailer somehow.
Yeah, something that's like locked up or something. It's going to be different this year. They've never been to Ridgeway. They've never based out of Ridgeway, which it'll be good.
I got an idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got an idea. I don't know how we do this, but I got an idea. So you know how for this the folding signs, like we did the folding signs, and we put the whole giveaway thing on the folding sign because people are standing there in line or sitting there in line in their Jeeps. What if we converted one of those, like made a donation sign and put a donation box on there, and as they're sitting there waiting, they can get out and put a few bucks in the donation box.
That's a great idea.
You know, and then and on the small print it'll say "Thank you for buying our lunch," but on the top it says "Donation."
Right.
Right.
I think that's a great idea. It definitely would simplify the whole process for sure.
We were talking about that today on that extra sign we have about even having the scan code for the Modern Jeeper Show.
Yeah.
Or something, because when they first begin in the line, we have the signs up.
Exactly.
I mean,
well, we've been discussing it again here because we put so much energy. Like you just saw that. I don't know if you've seen the recent commercial that went live, which we just got going. In fact, maybe we'll just play it at the end of this. I'll have them produce it just so everybody can see that commercial. In fact, we'll pause for a second. Did you see this commercial? We are MetalCloak. We walk our own path. We are the gold standard, the game changers, 6-pack shocks, true dual rate coils, Duraflex joints, CTI tested exclusive technology and patented products that give your rig not only the best ride quality on and off-road, but the most flex for a bolt-on kit, period. This isn't just marketing hype. We can prove it, and we do every day. There was a time when RTI ramps, or Ramp Travel Index, was a testing standard. They suck. Dangerous, confusing to calculate, and easy to manipulate. So we did what we do. We created a better test. We call it Corner Travel Index, or CTI. By lifting opposing corners of your rig, we max out your flex using a safe and standardized method. CTI shows your rig's true ability, its true flex. CTI shows how your suspension reacts out on the trail. The data does not lie. Since 2014, we've tested thousands and thousands of rigs at events across the country. With each test, we've collected specs in the build and cataloged the results. We use this data to make our own products better. No other company possesses that level of research when creating new products. Not one. We don't guess what will work for you. We design, we engineer, we prove. MetalCloak, the most flex of any bolt-on production kit, period. CTI proven, technology driven. MetalCloak. It's your Jeep, we make it better. Okay, so that commercial. So it's our CTI commercial. Basically, it's proclaiming like, look, we got all the flex, right? Yep. We got all the flex. You guys just, and because we've done thousands of big tests, because we have all that information, because we use it. So because of that commercial, it's time for us to take that information and put it back into a website. You know, we had a website before. A young kid who was playing with things lost all the data. So we still have the data in spreadsheet format, and we've gathered thousands and thousands more. So we're going to be putting it back into building a new website that will be able to at least display and look at the data. The whole point of it is to be able to see as a database what's in there. And we don't necessarily, before it was designed to be like a social media type thing where you could actually go in and fill in your own information and check your own information. I think we're just going to go in and just put it into database format so that people can see oh, this rig has this stuff and these settings and these things, and therefore it had that score compared to mine. So it's just purely going to be a comparison chart system as opposed to a where you create an account and you look into it and you try to sign up and you put your rig and you have your garage of 5 rigs and all the tests they've done over the last year. So we're just going to try to build.
It was it's been interesting over the years too, because you remember some of the initial data we have. Man, a lot of guys, they had a Rubicon Express lift and all the components were Rubicon Express or Terraflex or whoever. And now there are so many rigs that are built by, well, I have these springs and these control arms and these shocks. And so how do I compare? Well, you can't really say where that falls in. I mean, you may all have 37-inch tall tires, but we have to go with the majority of the branding in that particular suspension setup. Mm-hmm. And we've tried over the years to, of course, tell everybody that it was really the JK that taught us all that a system of components is very, very important. When Jeep built the Jeep, they didn't just go, hey, give me this spring and this control arm. We're going to throw it all on this rig and hopefully it turns out good. Those components were all matched, very similar in the way that MetalCloak's components are all matched to work together. So you start mixing things up. Hey, I've got MetalCloak arms and I've got these coilovers and I've got somebody else's front and rear ends, and all of a sudden I've got some kind of a vibration. Wow. Trying to track that stuff down becomes.
I got an idea. I got an idea. Here's another idea. See, I'm full of ideas today.
Yeah. It's that Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's that. I'm all hyped up on Coca-Cola. There's the other idea. Wouldn't it be cool to take all that data that we have, feed it into a system, and create an AI that does a virtual CTI for you? Like you type in what your information is, and it would do a prediction of what your CTI score would be.
I can see some Ryan Hagel manipulation in
it. right. And just a predictive nature of like, yeah, here's all the data. Well, based on it, I mean, we know we have all that. We have thousands of rigs of data. You should be able to feed all that in and have it come back. And then it either says you win or you suck. I mean, it doesn't, just like,
we can just use loser, the little poop emoji, the little poop emoji.
Instead of a gold star, that's what they get.
You get a 5-star. You get 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, 1 poop, 2 poop, 3 poop, 4 poop, 5
poop. You go completely the other way. Yes.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. I got 5 poops. Well, what kit do you have? I won't even say. I wouldn't say it'd be bad. We all know what kit that would be. But it's colorful. It comes in multiple colors.
See, you're on Coke and I'm on. Jesse and I are taking glucose.
Glucose. Yes, your glucose. That just came in a quarterly box, huh?
Yeah. So my little nomadic quarterly box.
Oh, the nomadics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's got some really neat stuff in it this week. But I literally opened the box, saw these, was like, it says 2 times the energy, so I took one. I don't know what they are. I'll let you know. I know I'm sitting here sweating, so
I am too.
I prefer my NeuroGum.
NeuroGum.
My NeuroGum.
Maybe I should get
65 milligrams of caffeine.
There you go.
Wake me up in the morning. Go here.
Some little blister packs. I use it for that afternoon, blues. Well, because it turns out that when you eat something in the afternoon, and I've got whatever else I've got going on in my body right now, but it's your body shuts down in order to digest. So when you're sitting there at your desk in the office working, and all of a sudden,
that whole eat lunch, and then at 3:00 it's like lights out.
But I could do it with eating a nutritious bar, a salad, or like a triple hamburger. It doesn't matter what I eat. I still get this. And I'll do it. I don't even do the cool fall asleep, like, hand resting, you look good. I just do the sitting there
and
drool coming down my face onto my shirt. And hopefully it only lasts for a few seconds and nobody's walked by and seen me just like passed out. Come rushing in. Are you okay? Speaking of which, take care of yourselves. I just found out literally today that somebody I've known for 30 years almost, doing fine, went into Cracker Barrel, maybe that was the problem, but sat down at Cracker Barrel and had a full on like major stroke and is
Wow.
paralyzed in half his body right now. And is in the hospital. And it's like just like this happened on Sunday. And and I admittedly he was like me, worked a lot, but he didn't take care of himself and just did what he did and loved doing what he was doing. And now it's just like it just happens. And so we got to take care of ourselves.
We do.
As I'm drinking a can of Coke.
Yeah, and I'm just taking random tablets of whatever.
They find us some box that gets mailed to you.
Yeah, cool.
Good to know. I'm gonna mail you a box now. I'll be like, here, try these.
Well, I'm still doing for some reason, man, 5:15 in the morning, I'm awake. And even if I've tried to stay up until 11 at night, at 12 at night, like it doesn't matter. At 5:15, I'm awake, and at about 9 at night, I'm done.
Watching a show, and all I hear is
well, it is funny because you did say that, like, and literally, guys, okay, just understand when we're out at events and we're doing events and we're doing till and whatever, it hits me 9 o'clock, like they go to bed. I'm like, that's 3-4 hours before I'm even willing to like shut off.
Is just getting warmed up.
I'm just getting started for the evening, and you guys like you're going to bed, right? And which is kind of lonely, you hang out with your friends in a house, and it's just
well, you should see me at 5:15 walking around the house.
Right, exactly. And I'm upstairs going, waking the house up with my snoring. But the thing is, I just went and saw one of my doctors last Friday, and she made me promise to try a solid 8 hours sleep, right? So you're getting up at 5 o'clock. So going to bed at 9 is gives you a good solid 8 hours sleep. So I'm supposed to start going to bed at 10 o'clock. And because I get up about 6 and get the kids going and all that stuff. And I did that very successfully Sunday night. But then I had a major project yesterday. And because I spent half the time with people walking in at my office, solving other problems, my project didn't get done. So I worked on it last night and didn't get to bed till 3. So I have to send a message to my doctor letting know I failed on night 2. I'm hoping night 3 I can do it, but it's just hard. Like I literally was sitting here at my desk going, I got to get this done because I can't think that I can finish it at home. That's usually my go-to. Work here, finish at home.
When you that's one thing that so many people I think struggle with is because you have a family, you have an active home going on, whereas for us. There's just the 2 of us out here, so we can kind of gauge and choose. Yeah, we're done, and it's quiet. But I used to be able to sleep the 8-hour thing through the night, and I can't anymore. I wake up at 3 o'clock thinking about stupid things, and then 2 hours goes by, and then I go back to sleep for 30 minutes, and then I'm up, and I'm just like up. So
right,
yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it's just an age thing, or it's society. I've read a lot about how we're all so wound up into life, I guess, that sometimes it just doesn't allow us to relax.
True. I mean, life is around us, and think about all these things around us, all of our electronic devices. I mean, let's talk about wavelengths, right? There's wavelengths and going through us all the time when it comes to electronic devices, not only the ones we're using, the ones we're wearing, everything. And it's got to disrupt us. I mean, we are bioelectrical mechanisms, right? Giant bioelectrical mechanisms. And
just learn to cut them off at a certain hour. You should have an alarm says turn everything
that's
off.
Exactly. It's just like eating. We were talking about that. My doctor said, stop eating an hour before going to bed, right? So your body,
that's so hard too.
Your body then will spend the time sleeping to do repairs as opposed to digesting. If it's spending the time sleeping, digesting, then the digestive system shuts everything else down. So let's go back to if you are fully empty stomach when you go to sleep, then it can think about all these other things it wants to do around the body and repair stuff and capture bad cells and all that kind of stuff. So, it's the same thing about this, right? Yes, we should. And then you think about guys who do this kind of stuff with tech, right? Like go around and say, look, I'm going to take a sabbatical. I'm not going to use my phone for a month. Like, or how you do that?
Right. How is that even possible in any way, shape, or form? I mean, I try to put it down and put it somewhere. I leave it in the house if I go out to the garage, just to give me that. And then I'm wondering while I'm out in the garage, I probably should go check. Probably got some emails. Probably should, that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I know it's the addiction. For me, it's like, okay, excuse me, TikTok. TikTok? Where's the TikTok? TikTok?
Well, so yeah.
Screw those Chinese. Where's my TikTok?
I was frustrated.
Oh wow. That's a well, that,
I was frustrated with not being able to plug everything in. So I bought this that has all of it. USB-Cs, USB, the regulars, all. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna carry this with me now everywhere I go.
Yeah.
He's power.
Your power backpack.
Yeah.
All right. So wow, we killed an hour there pretty quickly. Events coming up, because I know our guys like to know about events. So Tillamook's on its way, right? And then you got All for Fun. Is that your next CTI event?
We got Tillamook, and then we've got kind of a special thing right after Tillamook that we'll talk about later.
Ooh, okay.
It's with one of our sponsors, and then after that, yes, we have All for Fun, which is basically starts on the 23rd, 24th, all through that week. That's a week-long event in Ridgeway, Colorado. And then we have about a week gap before we head to Topless, and then we've got another smaller overland thing out there, man. And then we're Smoky Mountain. I mean,
right. And Will's going out there this year for Smoky Mountain. I think we settled on the fact that we were going to just keep the booth up there with you guys, or are we still going to try to put a sales booth down below? I mean, it just
I think Justin's. I think he's full. So
yeah, I think keeping it up with you just didn't make sense to have two separate locations. So
no, and it'll be fine up there. I think that the draw that we have at that upper deck in the show now, the first day we were out there last year, we were kind of hesitant, and then Justin said, hey, you guys are helping us grow this event up here. We knew you'd be a draw. And sure enough, the second day we were up there, we had a line around the trailer all day long. So
nice. So the most immediate coming events out here, like we haven't really talked about this one at all, but Cantina for the Con is back.
Oh, that's right. Cantina's coming up.
But it's weird. It's usually Labor Day weekend, and now it is July 2nd this year. So it's July 4th weekend. But it's at Rob's Resort. So Cantina for the Con started 7-8 years ago, something like that. I don't know when it started, but originally it was started by a club that did it in the spillway at the Rubicon Trail. So at the entry of the Rubicon Trail. For those who don't know, the spillway is just like this giant granite canyon. It's pretty cool. So literally we would come in, and there's lots of bowling ball sized boulders all down around. You basically would set up our tents on that and set up our things, and they would have you buy tickets and you buy tacos. And they did it as simply tacos for fundraising for the Rubicon Trail. So after a few years of the group doing it, which was the TDO, I think it was the Dysfunctional Off-Roaders or something was the name of the club that did it. They handed it over to Rubicon Trail Foundation, and they were running it from that point forward. And MetalCloak's been a part of it for years, and we were the title sponsor for several of the last several years. And then it got shut down for a number of reasons. COVID hit, and then in 2020 and then 2021, there was a lot of construction going on in the campgrounds. And so they thought that would impact the area. So they didn't do it there. So it's back now. They at Rob's Resort. It's in July, which is kind of interesting to see that happen. Rob's Resort has another thing going on, and that's all the way up Ice House Road on the way up to the Rubicon Trail. Rob's Resort has a thing called Band Camp. Band Camp, every weekend through the summer, they has live bands out there, and people pay to camp there for the weekend, and they get all kinds of special stuff for being camping there and being part of this live band. So it's almost like a little mini music festival every weekend.
Wow.
So and combined with that music festival, then Cantina is going to be there. So a bunch of us vendors are going to be there during the day, Saturday only. So Saturday, July 2nd only. We'll get out there, set up in the morning. ARS will be there. MetalCloak will be there. I think even Cloakworks 4x4 is going to be there. So Saturday morning, be out there.
We may have to just go up there with you.
You don't have to show up. Yeah. Well, because you guys are showing up on Friday, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect. So I actually was going to just drive up there for a little bit, but shoot, you guys could get to go up there and hang out too. So and
Pretty cool.
just be out there and just see what it's like. Just be out there for
Yeah,
the day and
absolutely.
check things out. And it's just a fun day. Will's going to go out there and do the early morning setup.
Cool.
And just check out Rod's World and just see what's out there. So a whole bunch of the companies are going to be out there, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not sure. This is a huge thing. It's still a big promotion for the Rubicon Trail Foundation. So I hope everybody can come out there, enjoy, and get some tacos.
Yeah, it's a big fundraiser. I mean, that's a great event.
Yeah, and then and it's all part of the Rubicon Trail Foundation doing stuff. We'll have some more to talk about on Rubicon Trail Foundation because we had some meetings with them, and there's some fun stuff happening with our property that we'll be talking. So that being said, Cantina, and then following that's Tillamook and Overland Expo Pacific Northwest. It's happening the same weekend.
Lots of things coming up. It's no rest for the wicked, right? I mean, it's going to be a busy season. We're seeing a tremendous amount of traffic in the Array area, traffic in Montrose. This whole corridor right now the San Juan Mountain group on Facebook are fending questions literally by the minute of people coming into this area that have never been here before.
It's your fault.
There's
for
a
promoting
lot
it.
of people.
It's your fault for promoting the San Juans, dude.
Man, I know, right? Yeah, nobody go anywhere. Everybody stay home.
Yeah, stop following our advice.
Right. Yeah.
It's like my wife used to be whenever my wife used to be at the store, and she'd be like, I just started loving this thing and now everybody's eating it. Like, it disappeared. How come they don't have this anymore? It's because it's popular. Like, but I just started liking it. I just found it. Yeah.
We can't share anything anymore because it'll go away.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Modern Jeepers out there, thank you again for joining us. There's another amazing episode. You know how to reach us. Matson at MetalCloak.com, Corey at MetalCloak.com, Jessy at MetalCloak.com, and of course at Modern Jeeper Adventures and at Modern Jeeper Forum and at ModernJeeper.com, where we share all the greatest news and information about the world of Jeeping. Right. Including recently I saw Stellantis is doing some layoffs. Not sure what brand they're doing that on, but they started their layoffs. So we'll see how that goes.
We're going to readjust some jobs, I think. So
yes, readjustments. I like that. They're not layoffs. They're just readjustments.
We're just readjusting.
Well, I'm going to readjust myself now. And for all of you out there, Corey, Jessy, anything you want to add before we sign off?
No. Thanks for all the people that have been reaching out. Thanks for our entire Jeep family. This last week has been just overwhelming with the folks who have wanted to, hey, if you buy my fuel, I'll come out there and I'll dig that hole and fix your plumbing, and people that have been still appreciative of what we all do and why we do it. So yeah, just a huge kudos and thanks.
Absolutely. Well, that's the whole Modern Jeeper and the Jeep community and the Jeep family, and that's what we love about what we do.
That's right.
Thank you all for being out there. By the way, while I'm signing off, I happen to click on a CB Overland video where he's doing a rack of lamb and some organic carrots, and it just made me really, really hungry. And this is out of the back of his TJ. All right,
nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Love you out there. See you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.